Before the swap, after the swap, before, after, before, 4-cylinder, after, intercooler and twin power turbo 6-cylinder engine. Seats are still good, interior is decent, sunroof works, but I'll probably delete it. Reason why I chose 318 Ti, 1995 318 Ti, is because of the practicality. And look at this space in the back. I love that. I love this. So I can just use it for things, and it's light. It's really light chassis. This is a stock M42 engine. I am removing it right now. Best way to remove this engine and transmission is just to pull the whole thing together from the front. Prior to removing this engine, I went to one of those car washes and I gave it the best wash I could. I'm not gonna talk about how to remove the engine. I mean, that's so obvious. Engine is almost out. Alright, as you can see, engine is out. There's nothing damaged. This is what I'm talking about right here. I don't like to use the chain, but there's on all BMW engines there's a loop right here. I like to put my hands down and use the I like to use the seat belt right here, because when I use this seat belt instead of a chain, it doesn't damage any of the parts right here when I'm pulling the engine out. So that's a good idea right there. Good idea before removing the engine is to wash as much as you can of this junk right here with a pressure washer. Then drive it for a while and see if the rack and pinion seal is leaking, because if you miss that and you buy the car and the rack and pinion is leaking and you put the engine in, and becomes such a pain in the ass to remove the rack and pinion when the engine is in and replace it with another one. That's why you want to do that. First, I needed to buy a cheap N55 engine. The right way to do this is to buy the whole car. For example, this is a Copart auto auction. It's in every major city in the US. 2011 335i, whole car wrecked, going for 29 as it sits now, but it'll go more than that. I got mine for 4,700 back in 2013, and it was a mess. It was hit in the front and the back on the side. So I managed to get all the parts that I needed engine wasn't damaged. And I just over the past 2 years I was just selling all of my all the parts that I didn't need, and at the end I ended up actually not getting the engine for free and all the stuff that I need. So that's the idea of doing this. If you try to go buy everything separately, it's gonna cost a lot of money, because these guys that sell these parts, they think they have gold. Anything BMW, anything turbo, they think it's a gold. So you gotta go at the auction and you gotta buy it cheap as possible. Get the one that is wrecked all around and that has a good engine and transmission, and get everything and part out everything else that you don't need, and that's how you can actually even make money if you do it the right way. One more important benefit of buying the whole car is that you get the title. I bought mine from AAA insurance company because the idiot wrecked it, and to my benefit. So it's 2011 BMW 335. You should stay with the models made in 2010 all the way to early 2012, because those are easy to code and upgrade through software. And one more very important benefit is that if you lose one of these keys, or if you only get one, then you can go to dealership with the title and order yourself another fob or key. A lot of people talk about deleting EWS 4 from E90, but in this case EWS 4 or COS unit is actually needed, because it's actually ignition switch and triggers everything on the N55 computer through a body module. So it will be really difficult to make something work to bypass. So, and in my opinion, it's actually better, because I don't have to mess with the ignition switch. I can just use the press button and works for me. This is the insulation under the transmission. So this needs to be trimmed like this, because the cable for the selector sits right here. Is going to rub against this material, so I'll just cut this section right here for better clearance. When it comes to engine mounts, this is how they mount. Basically stock location, but there's a problem. Engine will N55 engine will sit too much forward, so you need to it needs to go back one inch. So what you do is you just spin it around like this. You install it right here. See, like that, both of them, there and there, like that. But I don't want to do that. What I'm gonna do is, I have a spare one, so I'm just gonna cut it right here and weld it right here. So because the mounts will sit a little bit towards the back, what I did is made it a little bit more room for them right here. See that? Or front cross member. And what I'm gonna do is I line it where I want this to be and weld it up. Alright, I got this thing modded. See right there? Put a bunch of weld on it. It's not pretty, but it's fully functional. See, that's the driver's side right there, and this is the passenger side. Pretty much that. Another mod that I had to do is I had to hammer this in right here, this section right here, and then cut this section here. See? Because the pipe from the turbo to the intercooler sits like this. See? So I don't want to touch it. I didn't want it to touch it, so I had to cut this part right there. And then the water delivery hose, pipe, it's kind of barely touching right here. It's barely touching, so I had to hammer this in to give it more clearance. Also, thermostat sits right here, and then all the hoses from thermostat. When I cut this, I smashed it in, but I also re-welded this so to reinforce it. Alright, so here it is. This means that this is the original hole right here, and this is going to be the new one. So that is, let's see, 30 millimeters, exactly 30 millimeters. Febby, Germany. It says right here, we produce quality. And you spin the box and it says made in China. I guess even if it's made in China, it's good quality. But this is bullshit. Auto House AZ. I'm never gonna buy from them again. They suck. This is the M3 engine mount from 2002, and this is the 328i mount from E36 or E46. This one will be stiffer. I don't like the stiffness because this one transfers more vibration to the chassis. That's why I'm going to install this one. 328i engine mounts on both sides because I want it to be all smooth. In order for this driver's side ear mount to clear the steering rack or steering column, it has to be a little bit trimmed right here, see? Then when it's on, it has some extra room. What I did right here is grinded off this edge right here. There's an edge, so I grinded it off because transmission lines are coming and running, like two of the lines coming like this, so I don't want this edge to be digging into the lines. I also going to put a sleeve on the lines. Also right here, I'm going to shorten this bolt right here. Just shorten it right there so it's not sticking out like 5 millimeters like you see right there, because the line go like this. Before I install the engine, I like to remove this right here where the air conditioning and heater fan is located, blower fan, and I clean all the and vacuum out all the debris from here. Clean these drains right here. Also, what I like to do is inspect the blower motor brushes, make sure they're not worn out or almost worn out, so I don't have to do this job when I install the engine. Right here there's a plug that can be kicked out, and then engine harness goes from here down here into here. Alright, engine bay is ready for N55 engine installation. Now I will go to the list of what has to be done for the engine to fit properly. So let's first go from the back. This has to be trimmed right here. Then this broken off, and another one right here broken off. Passenger side control arm bushing has to be trimmed because there's a catalytic converter going through here, so I needed a little bit more extra clearance, so I had to trim it down a little bit there. Now, engine mounts, mount them, but make them loose. They have to be a little bit loose, both of them. So when the engine goes down, you can maneuver this, you can move this a little bit so it goes down in the hole. I'm using this heat shield from E36. It is about 1 millimeter thick, so to compensate I put another 1 millimeter thick, almost 1 millimeter thick washer on the driver's side. What I did is I shortened this bolt right here because I don't want it to interfere. I needed the most clearance as possible with the driver's side engine mounting arm. Before installation, this has to be rack and pinion has to be moved all the way to the left, because when the engine comes in, the pan will be like right here and it will start hitting. So you need extra clearance from there. Do not mount this yet, so leave that loose. This right here has to be, I probably overdid it, but it has to be widened just a little bit, and the pipe goes through here. Also right here just a little bit, because the intake for the turbocharger goes through here. That's about it. I mean, when you look at it from a distance, there's not much you have to do. I also like to lubricate right here. There's a bearing inside and it starts making noises, so I like to lubricate inside this bearing because it's easier when the engine is out. My N55 B30 came with the oil cooler because it has the high-speed tune for 160 miles an hour. What I'm going to do, I'm going to install this one without a cooler. I don't need the cooler. The engine only will be needing a cooler if, because the bottom of the engine is shielded. It has that cover, so there's no airflow going into the oil pan. But because I'm going to be using it on E36, there's no cover, so I'm getting the air from underneath the car and cooling down the oil pan, and that's how I'm getting my oil cooling the same way it is on the M50 engines. So now this is a single turbocharger Borg Warner on N55. As you can see, this right here, this manifold, actually this is a shield. There's inside there's another manifold, and it's a really compact design. This right here is the blow-off valve. It's internal, so there's a hole right there that blows it up. Just beautiful design, state of the art. Another cool design on N55 is this alternator. See, so the alternator is spinning this way, and I don't know if you can see it on the video, but actually what that does is alternator is not loading on the belt when you're decelerating. That's one cool feature. This right here is actually a vacuum pump. This is a vacuum pump. It delivers vacuum for the brake booster. This is the high pressure fuel pump right here. This big ass throttle body actually is open all the time, and it's only operated when there's a limp mode. So when the engine is started, it's open like this, and the valvetronic system control the idle and everything. Kind of cool, huh? This automatic transmission is 6HP21. It's a 6-speed state-of-the-art automatic transmission. The actual transmission computer is located inside the transmission. Can you believe it? This right here is a fuel injection rail right here. And like a diesel, these are fuel injectors. These are connectors for the fuel injectors. These screw in directly into the cylinders. The beauty of the direct injection is that there's almost no pre-detonation because the fuel is injected right before it needs the fire directly into the cylinder. It doesn't sit on the valve. What I'm doing right now is removing intake manifold. I have to do that in order to change the oil filter housing. Alright, intake manifold is removed. This is the engine computer. Alright, let's inspect cylinder number 1. It's dark, but it seems to be no deposits on the valves. Cylinder number 2. Same thing. Cylinder number 3. Same thing. Cylinder number 4. Kind of same thing. Cylinder number 5. Cylinder number 6 does have a little bit on the last one, so I'm gonna have to clean that. Installed. This makes it cleaner and simpler. Now time to put the intake manifold back on there. And through here like this, so disconnect the fuel rail pressure sensor, so when I'm installing it nothing gets damaged. And on the front you're going to use this from E30, the towing hook from E30. You just screw it in. Right there. Screw it all the way in. I'm using E90 ground wire. This part controls the wastegate, but this right here goes back to the back of the car and controls the flow of the exhaust on the muffler. Makes it quieter. Makes it quieter when you first start up, and then when there's power it opens up. So I don't have that, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to unplug it right here, eliminate this hose right here, and plug it right here. See right there? This is the line that I just eliminated. So the way the wastegate works is it receives the vacuum from the vacuum pump right here, gets the vacuum source to this solenoid. Solenoid is controlled by pulse width from engine computer. An engine computer monitors the vacuum or negative pressure to the wastegate right here, and that's how it controls the boost. See? Instead of boost going in there and opening it this way, vacuum goes and opens it that way. So this right here where the rail is rubbing, that's why I had to make it wider. See? When it comes to transmission mounts and crossmember, E36 crossmember from Automatic will work, but it needs to be modified. In order for this to work, you'll have to re-drill the holes right here and right here. Also, these mounts, you won't be able to use them. You have to use the mounts from E30 Automatic. There, like that. Then you'll have to add a 10mm spacers on each side. Then use longer bolts, but it'll work. See? But I don't want to do that. I'm just going to make one. It's easy to make, just from sheet metal. So I just want something just bolts on. I don't want to use any of the adapters and longer bolts and whatever. So this will work for me, and it's not that heavier. This is a 34 millimeter, I think. This one takes a 96 millimeter gibbo or flex disc. This one I believe takes 110 millimeter. So this won't work, but this will work. So that's it. Changed. I also put a little bit of silicone around here just to make sure it never leaks on me. This is the drive shaft that fits perfectly for the swap. Flex disc or gibbo is pretty good. Inspect the drive shaft to see if there's any, if it's loose, if it's notchy, if it fails to turn easily. I also like to put a little bit of oil in there, get them all moistened up again, because they're not serviceable. I got to this point. It seems that lowering the subframe will be easier. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to lower the subframe just a little bit. Engine is almost in. Alright, engine is in. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I had to do this. See, that pipe is really close to the rail. And then when the engine is moving, on the engine mounts, it's flexing, you don't want it to touch, so you need at least 1/4 inch minimum. I wish I did it a little bit more, but that'll be fine. This is how close engine is sitting to the firewall, but actually it's not touching. That's why I had to beat it in a little bit. This is how I hook up vacuum source to the booster. Basically this piece right here, quick connect is from the same E90. Then this hose right here is from E36, one of those booster lines that I had sitting around, and then it goes to E46 booster. Very simple, very easy. This is the shift selector from E90 installed on the E46 chassis. It's pretty much plug and play. You put the cable, usually this one will be open, this one will be closed, so this one needs to be punched out. From this one you can just plug it up. The cable goes through. Then these two holes will line up. But the rear one won't line up, has to be drilled right here. This hole right here has to be widened or drilled right here and you put the bolt in. So it fits perfect. I'm getting ready to install the shifter. This hole is taped up and this one is punched out. There's a rear bolt and two up front. All fits perfect. Alright, this is why I was saying to trim this insulation just a little bit. See how close this is? Transmission lines, I put that wire loom on them to protect them. I made this mount right here to keep it up here. This is how clear it sits where the rack and pinion is. That's why I told you to grind some of this ridge and simply just cut. I just cut right here and put her on the E36 cooler. Alright, I got the drive shaft installed. It's nice and straight. Let's go. I'll zoom it in. That's my ugly cross member mount. Nice and straight. It fits like a glove. If the glove fits, you must convict. Since my car is 95, then I have a charcoal canister located right here. And because the intake pipe goes through here, I have to relocate it down right here, see? So what I did is I removed this mount that's welded right here, and I welded it down here to relocate this charcoal canister that is on 92 to 95. Charcoal canister will be right here. On 96 to 99 will be in the trunk. And this is something that I must have because I want to pass Arizona emissions. Original location, new location. I made this shorter and I put a 7mm fuel line connected with the fuel line. Connects to right here. Then this is a stock 318 Ti. There's a vacuum reducer, and this hose is this is the part number right here. It's a BMW, and then this quick connect is from E90 actually. This is stock E90, so that's how I hooked up my fuel tank vent valve and the charcoal canister that I must have for visual emission inspections here in Arizona. And also I must have this because this is where fuel tank vents when you overfill it. So what this is, high pressure power steering line from 2011 335i. That's what you need to use, or this is what I'm going to use, and it fits fine. For the feed line, for the low pressure feed line to the rack and pinion from the power steering fluid tank, this right here is from E30. So what I did is I took this and bent it even more, as you will see right now. Well, you see it right there, and then this goes to the power steering reservoir. This is the high pressure line from E90. It needs a little bit bending to have proper clearance right here. Simply goes under like that, and I made a little extension right here. See right here, so kind of levels it up. That's how it fits. This is the stock E90 or 335i power steering reservoir. This is it, stock line. That's the feed one. This is a return. This return line is actually E36 power steering hose that I used. I am building a mount for power steering fluid reservoir. What I'm going to do is cut this right here, cut it right here, remove this section and remove this section, leave a lip right here, and then make a drill one hole for 6mm bolt. I believe this is from E90. This is it. So that's it right there. Fits pretty clean. Now I gotta put the hoses on. When it comes to the fuel delivery, you must have 5 bar fuel pressure regulator. I found this, I don't know what car I found this regulator, but M3, like a 2001 2005 M3 has the same regulator. And the way you rig it for returnless is you remove this right here. There's a plunger in there. You remove it and you take out the plunger and you put this back on there and you crimp it right here. Then this right here, what I did, I just put a 8mm bolt in there and I made it like a plug. I just plugged it up, and then, which means is that the fuel comes from the fuel pump through the fuel filter to the engine, and then whatever then it bleeds off more pressure back to the fuel tank. Or you can just buy a 2001 to 2006 M3 fuel pressure regulator with E36, stock E36 fuel pump will work fine. 2001 to 2006 BMW M3 fuel pressure regulator with the housing that has a return back to fuel tank. So the fuel filter screws on here, and this goes to the engine, and this goes back to the fuel tank. I was able to find this for cheap on eBay, so I just bought the M3 unit. I also have to replace this line, return line, from 328i and install it on my 318 Ti. This plugs on where the filter is and then goes to the N55 engine. You can get this line from any E46. What I did right here is I replaced the lines, only the return line, and this is 1995 318 Ti, and I used this line from 328i. See, this is a return and this is a delivery. Filter sits right here. And that's the fuel filter. What I did right here is put a little bit of cloth and a O-ring over it. I don't want any dust going in there in the fuel filter. This line is from E46 right here, like that, and then plugs into the fuel line for the N55 right there. This is very important, this fuel filter cover. I don't want any rocks hitting the fuel lines and fuel filter and causing the fuel to leak. So I'm not gonna hook up a heater. I don't need it. I never use it here in Phoenix, Arizona, so it's just gonna stay like that. When it comes to hooking up the heater, it's pretty simple. What I need is a 90-degree hose right here, basically the same hose as this, maybe a little bit shortened. And then it comes comes around underneath it. Then another one, another 90 degree right here. And then both hoses come through here. I can zip tie them right here. Running through here. Then underneath the radiator, this will be returned from the heater. And this is, but it's pretty simple, but I'm not gonna. Alright, this is the E90 AC compressor. It will fit fine. Let me try to put it in. Yeah, it fits just perfect. There's plenty of room. The problem with this AC compressor is that the suction line connects to the back and goes this way, and that's not going to be possible to make a line, or it will be really difficult to make a line routing around. So what I would need to get is AC compressor from 2010, 2011, N54, N55, 5 series, 535i compressor with AC lines, because the AC lines connect right here and they both route to the front of the engine. Then I can make my connections on this side. That's what I need, but right now I'll have to just bypass it until I find a 535i AC compressor with lines for reasonable amount of money. Right now I went on the eBay, and they're really expensive, so I'm gonna have to skip on that for now. This is the AC compressor from 2011 5 series with the N55 engine. So both lines go forward in front of the engine, and that's what I need. See, that's the lower, goes all the way down where the radiator is, and then now, so I'm gonna have to hold off on this. High pressure AC line is installed, and it looks like there's plenty of room. Yeah, there's plenty of room. And then low pressure line will have to come through here. And then this is high pressure. Come this way and this way. There's plenty of room. This is how a belt without air AC compressor is routed. This pulley can be eliminated. Very simple. Belt number is 6PK1420 or 560K6. See right there. So the boost pipe goes there and runs through here. Alright, pipe is installed. See, there's enough room to clear everything when the engine is moving, and to show how it's clamped. Right there. It has to be installed before the coolant reservoir, and then it comes out this way. What I am doing right now is positioning this intercooler so that it clears condenser and the AC line, and fits perfectly right here for the airflow to go through it. Then I'm gonna have to build mounts. These are my intercooler mounting gears. This will extend right here, and front bumper comes right here and holds this up, so I get extra support right here. As you can see, this is the pipe from turbocharger to the intercooler, and this is really simple right here. This is 2.5 inch 90-degree silicone hose that I bought from eBay for $25. This one right here is 2.5 inch aluminum pipe with a slight 90-degree angle, like this pipe right here, that I bought from eBay as a intercooler pipe kit, 2.5 inch. So I basically cut it right here and right here. It gives me a little bit of angle. This is a 2-inch to 2.5 inch silicone coupler. Also, this comes in a 300ZX charge pipe kit. This is also the same pipe, so I bought this for cheap also. So it goes like this. Very simple, very short. I'll install it right now. I won't be spending money on a hard pipe right now, so I'll just make this stock one work. Basically I just cut it right here. It's a thick plastic, but I'm gonna just make it work so it works on a stock boost. Installing driver side pressure pipe from intercooler to the engine. From here to there. I had to remove this horn mount right here just for extra clearance. This one can stay here. I moved this one over here. Just the same mount, just bend it right here. Put it in. It's not gonna touch anything else. Alright, whole intercooler system is installed. Now I will go through the whole system to explain what I've done. Alright, see that pipe, 2-inch pipe. There's a 2-inch diameter silicone coupler straight to the turbocharger. There's a 45-degree 2-inch pipe going from there right here. Then there's a 2-inch silicone coupler connector that connects to 2.5 reducer or whatever. Then goes to another 45-degree 2.5 inch diameter aluminum pipe to 2.5 inch 90-degree silicone coupler to this intercooler that has 2.5 inch input and output. I will measure the intercooler to show what kind of it is. It is 7 tall, 2.5 thick, and then wide. That makes it, let me see, from one end to one end exit. So that makes it a 29 inch, but the core size is 22 inch. And then those are the mounts right there. Then going to the driver's side, another 2.5 inch silicone coupler straight to a 90-degree aluminum pipe. I got one right here, so it's gonna be one of these, and I've shortened it like this, so it's like that, to a 45-degree 2.5 inch silicone coupler. Another 90-degree 2.5 inch aluminum pipe, and 2.5 inch silicone coupler straight. I also added this nipple right here for the boost controller. I mean boost gauge. Boost will be controlled by the computer, so Alright, that's the intercooler installed. There's plenty of room. It's solid in there. And this right here leans against the bumper and makes everything so more solid. This is the moved horn right here. There's room for the AC lines. Alright, this is the cold air intake. What I did is I just flipped this around. This is from E90 stock 335i, and I just flipped it around. And this right here is from one of those indoor air conditioning units. So I just put it on here and goes this way, and then I'm getting all my cold air from here. What I have here is E36 radiator with this pulse width controlled fan. Fits perfect. I had to trim it right here, then cut these tabs and clamp it on directly onto the radiator, and now it's fine, secure. N55 really needs a good fan, otherwise you'll just throw a check in. That's the thermostat right there. See, that's one of the reasons why I had to make this extra room right here. Well, actually it's not needed if you I was planning on using this stock 328i coolant reservoir. In this location here there's plenty of room. In order to keep the 2.5 liter windshield washer fluid tank in this location, but when I install AC lines that go through here, I'm probably gonna have a problem with space, so probably gonna get rid of this windshield washer fluid tank. I don't need it anyway, and just install the stock E90 coolant reservoir right here. These are the two mounts that I welded on. Those are for stock 335i coolant tank. And this is my welder. When it comes to upper and radiator hose, I made this one and this one from the old hoses, which means that this AutoZone or Dayco hose code E72112, one hose will give me two hoses, upper and lower. So which means this is going to be the upper one and this is going to be the lower one. So I got to make a cut right here. So this will be lower and this will be upper. I made a cut, so this gives me upper and lower. Well, this is how the upper hose is. This is just one of those plastic couplers from E36. Just a simple. And that's the lower radiator hose right there. And it's got that 90-degree plastic coupler. Very simple. This is from reservoir. This is E90 line. And a 90-degree right here. This 90 degrees from E46, but the rest of the line is from E90. This is how N55 to E36 chassis exhaust, full exhaust system looks like. It's really easy to make. Basically what this is a stock N55 exhaust from E90 chassis, as you can see right here. It goes, and then what I did is I cut it right here, and I cut the late model E36 exhaust, stock exhaust right here, and then I use these two sections to join them together. So it's a really simple exhaust system. Since I have a TI, exhaust will be different, so I had to make one. So this is E90 335i, 2 1/4, 2 1/4 to 2 1/2 splitter, Y. Then basically straight out. All these pieces are from AutoZone, so I bought 4 of them, 2 1/2 inch. And then I made this lip for the rubber mount. It's gonna mount right there. This is a TI rubber mount right here, and the rear rubber mount. So that's the whole exhaust. I didn't want to go with the 3-inch because 3-inch will probably make more noise and create a drone noise at the driving down the highway. This is a 3-inch pipe. Alright, this is the exhaust. See that rubber mount right here? All the way out. Right here I trimmed too much of this. There's at least almost an inch clearance. What I have here is ignition mechanism, ignition switch mechanism, removed from the steering column from E36. I'm not going to be using this key entabler nor the ignition switch right here, so what I have to do is remove this lock right here. Remove this lock so I don't have to use this key, I can just sit in the car and drive it away. Alright, what I got here is 335i harness that is required for the swap. I spread it out to be able to explain what is needed from the donor car. So I'm going to start from the engine side. So this is the engine. Let's imagine this is the engine. This right here goes to the fan. As you can see, this is positive, negative, and a pulse width modulation line. This will be the ground for the radiator fan. Now this plugs into engine computer, N55 engine computer that is located on the engine. Now next one is outside temperature sensor. I don't think this is needed, but it doesn't hurt, so I'll just keep it there. This is coolant tank level. Also, I don't think it's required, but I'm gonna keep it there. It's small and doesn't take too much room. What this is AC pressure sensor. I will need this because I am planning on using the air conditioning, so I will need this. These right here connect to the harness onto the engine. They go to the engine and the transmission. Also, transmission computer is located inside the transmission, so that's why there's not many lines that go to the engine bay. This particular wire right here goes to the DCS, or stabilizer control, ABS computer. This is the right rear wheel process signal. So I'm going to connect this to my 318 Ti ABS system. This wire right here. This is also a PT CAN bus line. I'm just going to keep it here. Maybe I install the Arduino control board in the future, so I'll just keep that. And then this is the firewall. Firewall is right here. So those are the lines that go to the engine. Now this will be like under the glove box. This is the E90 fuse box with the chassis computer control. This is needed because this kind of translates all of the signals from the things to the other modules, so that's required. These are the two grounds that will be mounted inside a car right next to the ABS computer on the 318 Ti. Now this is the power cable that goes straight from the battery. I'm gonna have to get a shorter one because I plan to mount the battery right where 318 Ti location is in the engine bay, but it can just be left alone if it's installed in other models. It's long enough, goes all the way to the back. See right there? Goes all the way to the back. And this is the ground signal. This right here is the ground to the battery, and then this connects, this blue wire connects to the positive, and this is the actual smart sensor that N55 computer needs. It monitors state of the battery, so if the battery is like 13 volts, it turns off the alternator, it gives more power to the engine. Connects right here. These two wires go to the engine computer. Then right here, this is the fuel pump controller. I'm going to install this right where the rear seat is, right under the rear seat, and these two go to the fuel pump. See, negative and positive. Like I said, the stock E36 fuel pump will work fine. Next, I'm going to mount this right above the rear speakers. What this is, it's antenna. It's actual antenna that takes the signal from the key, start key, because I want E90 fob to work in my E36, so I'll need this for automatic door opening. It just takes two wires. That's it. Now, going back on the passenger side underneath the glove box, so I pretty much removed what I don't need. So it's, see all those cut wires right there? I plan on making another video to specifically address each wire, but right now I'm just going through it, going through all the wires to make a short video. Alright, so this is under the glove box. Because I plan on using air conditioning, I'm gonna have to have this. Also, without this, N55 will run the fan full power all the time, so this just needs to be plugged in so N55 computer can recognize it, and then it won't run the fan all the way. But I need this only for this right here. See the AC button. So I'm gonna have to wire this AC button to a stock E36 button, so when I press it I get the AC, and then the rest the rest of the AC control will be taken over by the E36 AC control. So Alright, going back over the transmission tunnel, we get to the accelerator pedal, electric accelerator pedal, plugs into right here. Very simple to install, basically the same. I think the same pedal can be used from E36, the same way these guys install S54 engine in the pedal there. So I think the pedals, this is the newer version of the pedal, but it'll work. Now on top of the transmission tunnel, basically, obviously, it is the 6 HP 21 transmission control, automatic transmission control. That just installs easily. Then the cluster module has to be detected. This is for the cluster. I don't have to install the whole cluster, but I'll have to at least strip it and plug the module, because I want to have the sport mod and things like that. Right next to it is a brake light switch. This is brake light switch. This is really important and has to be installed. Right, going again near the steering wheel. This is the, what's it called, COS unit, COS 3. It's basically ignition module and anti-theft. And this is the start button right here. And this is the key slot, and I have the 2 keys. When I bought my donor car, I got 2 keys, very important. So basically, I'm gonna make it work so when I use these buttons, it has the same function on the E46. This is the ground, another ground strip. This is gonna be the diagnostic plug, OBD2 diagnostic plug. Now this plug is for stereo, but I'm just gonna use it. I'm not gonna use the E46 ignition switch, so I'm gonna have to incorporate this. So instead of using the key, I'm just gonna use this thing. All right, now going back to the behind the driver's seat. This is the fuel tank leak module, leak test module. I just keep it plugged in so I don't get the check engine light. So I'm probably gonna connect it to E46 lines so I can see if my fuel tank is leaking or not. This is the muffler actuator, muffler flow actuator. So I just keep it in so I don't get the fault code for it. It's just a simple thing that doesn't take a lot of room. Alright, what's next? That's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple. It all gonna fit there. Now, right here, these 4 lines, this is the fuel tank level sensors. I'm just gonna install a few resistors to tell the N55 computer that I have fuel, because oddly enough, N55 computer will throw 2 fault codes if it detects something wrong with the fuel level sensors. These 2 lines, they are for the triggers on the, these are 2 for the pedal shifters that I plan on installing in the steering wheel. Basically upshift up and down in the sport mode. So that's pretty much it. That sums it up. Now the rest of the modules are not needed with my coding, because I developed a N55 computer, engine computer swap coding. So now I'm going to run through what I have cut on the back of the fuse box of the E90. These wires can be pulled. Actually, all wires can be pulled. I just don't have the special tool for these. So that's it. Now I gotta make room for that E90 fuse box and all the wiring. So basically what sits here is that cruise control computer module. So obviously this has no function anymore, so I'll remove that. Next thing to go is the EWS module. It goes right here. That has no use anymore, so that'll go. What I am left with is this is window regulator. I believe it's a window regulator relay, and this is the body module that controls the rest of the car. So I'll have to keep these two. Also, what I plan on is trimming this right here, this vent, to allow more room. I also removed the airbag. This is the anti-lock brake system computer module. So all I did is zip tied it right here and right here. As you can see, I zip tied the fuse box up there, and then this is the wiring harness from the fuse box going to the engine bay, and this is the power cable right here also through this hole. Then I'm gonna have to seal it with the foam, and then carpet goes over it. Alright, so I got the harness through this hole and it's all nice and sealed. This is how it looks now. What I did right here is add another lip right here, because I'm gonna have to install the dual brake light switch. So yeah, I welded it one more right here. So this is gonna be a N55 brake switch, and this is gonna be the stock E36 brake light switch. As you can see right here, those are the two switches. This is E90 and this is E36 switch. This is E90 gas pedal. This is the lower mount, and this is the upper mount. Like that, and like this. So that's how I have to weld it on. Alright, so I peeled the carpet back like this. I grounded off the stock E36 rear mount for the accelerator pedal. Now inside right here I'm going to mount E90 pedal like this with the mounts welded. Spot weld the upper one, spot weld the bottom one, take it out, and then put the carpet back on and maybe cut a little bit. Carpet needed to be trimmed just a little bit. it goes like this. Wow, that's pretty tight. That's it. Now this wire for the throttle goes to back to the computer this way. This is harness for the COS right here, goes through here. I'm going to install it right here. And this is will be the 2-port. Batteries installed. These two come from engine harness where the relays are at, and the fuse box going to the positive. This one goes to the stock E36 fuse box. This one goes to the starter. This one right here goes to the battery smart sensor. This is the battery smart sensor, and then this goes to ground right here. The battery sensor 2-wire signal goes right here to computer. So that's about it when it comes to battery setup. This is a TI 318 Ti setup. On the other E46 is in the trunk, so it's much easier. Everything just fits. Everything's there, everything fits. This is kind of mess right here. I have this cover, so this cover fits perfectly there. This is where I mounted my fuel pump control module EKPM3. I have to explain what I did right here, because I'm not going to be using ignition switch, the stock E36 ignition switch. Instead, I installed this relay right here, the green relay. So this is the COS unit. So I installed this wire. This is pin 14 from the COS unit. Sends signal 15 to the relay, and then relay's coil is grounded right here. So what that does is when I press the button, the start button, it works like an ignition switch. It switches on to position 2. Position 1 won't work. That's accessory. So which means that I connected this purple wire together with the green wire, and the red wire is battery plus. So when I want to start the car and I press the start button, it triggers the relay, and the relay acts as a ignition switch. These two holes, this is for the key slot and this is for the start button. These two go to the fuel tank, sensor passenger side, driver side. So what I did, I just installed 2 resistors, 300 ohm and 300 ohm, because engine computer wants to know the fuel level. What these 2 resistors will do, it'll fool the computer in thinking that there's a half full of tank still left. This right here, these 2 wires, they are for transmission pedal shifting, and I also had to install the resistor in it. Otherwise there'll be the sport mode won't work. In the future I will make it work on the steering wheel using the airbag wires. So this will just work like this for now. To make this stock E90 fob remote lock to work, what I have to do is, every E36 has this. This is for a factory alarm, and right here are the wires for the lock and unlock. Blue red is unlock and white red is lock, and this is where I hooked it up, these two wires to this module right here. On the back there's a plug, so let's see, pin 18 is unlock, so that will be the blue. Pin 18 will go to blue red, and lock is pin 36, that'll go to white red. Now let's test it. Alright, so I got my two keys from E90 donor car, and let's test the remote locks. So it's unlocked, let's lock it. Whoa, shit! Let's unlock it with the other key. Whoa, shit! Let's lock it with this key. Let's unlock it with the other key. There you go, it works. It all fits. I put this in here because I'm going to be using the AC. Can be seen right there. That's the E90 body module. It all fits in there. Alright, so this is it. So I got this cold air intake in there, all nice. Plenty of room for AC lines. Even the windshield washer fluid tank, custom one, can fit here. Battery fits here. Let's check out interior. All I need to get is a manual transmission boot, and just put it in here. Then this right here, I'm gonna mount it. I'm gonna mount it right here. This position sensor, position indicator. That's my exhaust tip, 2.5 inch. As you can see, nothing hangs too low. It's all nice tucked in. It's my boost gear. See, previous owner had this AAA service because he had to tow this 4-cylinder piece of shit home all the time. Now that I have my Hawken TT N55 spec engine in it, I'm never gonna be stranded. It will never break down, so I don't need AAA. I will never need this service anymore, so I'm just gonna remove the sticker. Alright. Damn, it's fast. I was spinning in like 3 gears. There's heavy traffic, so I can't really get it. You can hear the exhaust is pretty quiet, and it's just a straight exhaust. I really like how exhaust sounds. Basically, I thought it was going to be louder, but alright, so that's it, guys. Final thing that I have to do is I have to load my tune. I have to get this from OBD2 96, 97 so that I can mount this OBD2 port. Gotta load my tune. Stock is about 10 psi. BMW PPK is about 12 or 13 psi, and then mine is 15 psi, which will give me 380 horsepower at the crankshaft. That's how you do it. So please like my video. Till next time.